The environmental impact of fast fashion, the hidden cost of cheap clothing. Fast fashion has revolutionized the way people consume clothing. With its low prices and rapid turnover of styles, fast fashion has made trendy apparel accessible to millions. However, beneath the allure of affordability lies a profound environmental and ethical crisis. The global fashion industry, particularly the fast fashion sector, is a significant contributor to pollution, resource depletion, and labor exploitation. This essay explores the hidden costs of fast fashion, examining its environmental toll, exploitative labor practices, and the cultural factors driving overconsumption, while also discussing steps toward a more sustainable future. The environmental toll of fast fashion. Fast fashion's environmental impact is staggering. The production processes involved in creating cheap, disposable garments take a significant toll on natural resources. One of the most concerning issues is water consumption and pollution. The textile industry is one of the largest consumers of fresh water globally, with the production of a single cotton t-shirt requiring approximately 2,700 liters of water, enough for one person to drink for nearly 3 years. Additionally, textile dyeing and treatment processes often release toxic chemicals into rivers and lakes, contaminating water sources and harming aquatic life. Microplastic pollution is another consequence of fast fashion. Many garments produced today are made from synthetic fabrics like polyester, which shed microplastics during washing. These microscopic fibers enter waterways and ultimately the ocean, where they contribute to marine pollution and enter the food chain, posing health risks to both animals and humans. Moreover, the carbon footprint of the fast fashion industry is immense. The global fashion industry contributes approximately 10% of total global carbon emissions, more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. This is due to energy-intensive production processes, reliance on fossil fuels for synthetic fiber manufacturing, and the extensive transportation network required to move garments from production centers in countries like Bangladesh, China, and India to consumers worldwide. Exploitative labor practices in fast fashion. Beyond its environmental harm, fast fashion perpetuates exploitative labor practices. The drive for rapid production at minimal cost has led many brands to outsource manufacturing to developing countries where labor laws are often weakly enforced. Workers in garment factories frequently endure unsafe working conditions, long hours, and meager wages. The 2013 Rana Plaza disaster in Bangladesh serves as a tragic example of these exploitative practices. Over 1,100 workers died when the poorly maintained garment factory collapsed. This event highlighted the dangerous conditions many fast fashion workers face daily. Furthermore, the wages paid to garment workers in many regions are far below a living wage, trapping families in cycles of poverty. The lack of job security, health benefits, and protection against exploitation only deepens the ethical concerns surrounding the industry. The psychology of overconsumption. Fast fashion thrives on a culture of overconsumption. The industry's business model is built on the idea of rapid turnover. New styles are introduced almost weekly, creating a sense of urgency to buy before trends fade. Social media influencers and aggressive marketing strategies further fuel this phenomenon, encouraging consumers to constantly update their wardrobes to stay fashionable. The psychological impact of this constant push for consumption cannot be overlooked. Fast fashion exploits the human desire for novelty and self-expression while promoting the illusion that happiness can be purchased through material goods. This cycle leads to excessive purchasing and, ultimately, waste, as many garments are discarded after just a few uses. Landfills around the world are overflowing with textile waste. It is estimated that 85% of all textiles end up in landfills each year, contributing to soil degradation and methane emissions as synthetic fibers take centuries to decompose. Steps toward a sustainable fashion industry. Despite the challenges posed by fast fashion, positive steps can be taken to promote sustainability within the industry. Some brands are beginning to embrace more ethical practices, such as using organic fabrics, reducing water consumption, and paying fair wages. However, individual actions also play a crucial role in driving change. Consumers can reduce their environmental impact by adopting practices such as thrifting and secondhand shopping, Purchasing pre-owned clothing extends the lifespan of garments and reduces demand for new production. Supporting ethical brands. Choosing companies committed to transparency, fair labor practices, and sustainable materials helps shift demand toward responsible fashion. Clothing swaps and repairs. Engaging in clothing swaps with friends or repairing damaged items instead of discarding them promotes a circular economy. Mindful consumption. Asking whether a purchase is necessary and opting for quality over quantity can reduce impulse buying. Policy changes are also essential to hold the industry accountable. Governments can implement regulations that require brands to disclose their supply chains, adhere to environmental standards, and ensure fair labor practices. Additionally, taxes on environmentally harmful practices, such as excessive water usage and synthetic fiber production, could encourage brands to adopt greener alternatives. Conclusion: fast fashion has transformed the global clothing market, making trendy clothing more accessible than ever before. However, its environmental impact, labor exploitation, and promotion of overconsumption reveal a deeply unsustainable system. Addressing these challenges requires a collective effort from consumers, brands, and policymakers alike. By making conscious choices and demanding greater transparency, we can work toward a fashion industry that values sustainability, fairness, and respect for both people and the planet. The environmental impact of fast fashion, a crisis in the making. Fast fashion has become a defining feature of the modern clothing industry, offering trendy garments at low prices with rapid turnover. While this model has democratized fashion, it has also led to significant environmental and ethical concerns. The detrimental effects of fast fashion range from excessive resource consumption and pollution to exploitative labor practices and cultural overconsumption. This essay explores these issues while emphasizing the importance of sustainability in the fashion industry. Fast fashion's environmental impact is profound. The production processes involved in creating low-cost garments often rely on unsustainable practices. Water consumption, for example, is a major concern. The production of a single cotton t-shirt can require up to 2,700 liters of water, while textile dyeing and treatment processes frequently pollute water bodies with harmful chemicals. Furthermore, the widespread use of synthetic fibers like polyester contributes to microplastic pollution, as these materials shed microfibers during washing, contaminating oceans and entering the food chain. Carbon emissions are another critical issue linked to fast fashion. The industry is responsible for around 10% of global carbon emissions, surpassing the combined emissions from international flights and maritime shipping. This pollution arises from energy-intensive production methods, global supply chains, and the excessive use of fossil fuel-based materials. Exploitative labor practices are another dark side of fast fashion. Many brands outsource production to countries with minimal labor protections, resulting in unsafe working conditions and meager wages for garment workers. The 2013 Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh, which killed over 1,100 workers, underscored these dangers. Many workers still face unsafe environments and are paid below a living wage, perpetuating cycles of poverty. Fast fashion also fosters a culture of overconsumption. By promoting constant trend shifts, brands encourage consumers to buy frequently and dispose of clothing after minimal use. This leads to massive textile waste, with 85% of all textiles discarded annually, much of it ending up in landfills or incinerated. Despite these challenges, there are pathways to a more sustainable fashion industry. Ethical brands have begun using organic fabrics, reducing water usage, and prioritizing fair labor practices. Consumers can contribute by thrifting, supporting responsible brands, and reducing impulse purchases. Additionally, policymakers can enforce stricter regulations on supply chain transparency and environmental practices. In conclusion, the fast fashion industry poses significant environmental and ethical challenges that require urgent action. Through conscious consumer choices, ethical brand practices, and policy reforms, the fashion industry can move towards a more sustainable future, balancing style with responsibility.